Question 4 here, they say the graph below shows the straight line PQ. The straight line PQ. Now we read the first part of the question yet, like what I want us to get, but straight away from this graph here, we can get the y-intercept, which is this point here. If you go to read off that, you would have to come down come down here, right? Actually, I should say go up, right? If you come down, x will be 0, and at that particular point, they cut in the y-axis at 1. So you have that point 0, 1, which cuts the y-axis, right? To get the other points, like point P here, you would want to read going up until you touch the x-axis. Now x is -2 there, and you want to read going across until you touch the y-axis, and y is -3. So this is the coordinates for the point P. Now Q, you would come down here until you touch the x-axis, and x is +3, and you're read going across, y is 7. So we have 3 points on this line that we read off easily. Now you can read off any other point here. You have here, you can read off here, you can even read off here. They have points on the line, right? But we got the coordinates for Q, P, and the intercept so far. So they said to find the gradient of the line PQ. Now we already took out the points for P and Q. So what do we need to find the gradient of a straight line? We need 2 points, right? So point P, the coordinates for that was -2, -3. X was -2 and y was -3. And Q was 3, 7. The formula for the gradient is, so gradient, and the letter commonly used for gradient is m. So I'm putting that in bracket. The gradient m is equal to y2 minus y1 all over x2 subtract x1. And you get those values from the points. So this will be x1, y1, and this will be x2, y2. So m, which is your gradient, will be equal to y2, which is 7, minus y1, which is -3. So I'll put that in bracket, all over x2, which is 3, minus x1, which is -2. So I'll put that in bracket. Now your gradient is m. That is equal to 7, and a minus is a plus. So 7 plus 3 all over 3, and a minus is a plus. So plus 2. Because you have 2 minus sign between the 3 and the 2, so that will turn into a plus. And you can just type in this in the calculator now, but 7 plus 3 will be 10, and 3 plus 2 is 5. So 10 divided by 5 is basically 2, so you get m, which is your gradient, to be equal to +2. And that is 1 mark there. And I would have shown you how I read off the point for Q to get 3, 7, and I read off the point for P to get -2, -3. Now they say to write down the equation of the line through the point, well, through the line PQ. Write down the equation of the line through PQ in the form y is equal to mx plus c, general equation. Now from the graph, if you look back at the graph here, Where does it cut the y-axis? The y-axis is the vertical line. This line here. This is the y-axis. Right? And where does it cut the y-axis? At this point over here, where x is 0 and y is 1. So that is our y-intercept. So I'll put in now that over there. From the graph, PQ cuts the y-axis at 0, 1. So the y-intercept, I mean, most of you all know how to get the y-intercept, and you know that C is the y-intercept, but this is as detailed as possible. So y-intercept C is equal to the y value, which is 1. So C is 1. Now in the exam, you don't need to put all of this. You could just put C is equal to 1, M is equal to 2, and plug it in the formula, and that is it. Right? We know that M, which is the gradient, is equal to 2. So we know M is 2, we know C is 1. So plugging in that into the general equation form there, now we have y is equal to 2x plus 1. And that is the equation of the straight line here. Simple as that. Right? Um, let's move on to the other parts now. So we have a function question here now. Two functions f and g are defined as follows. So you have f of x is x squared minus 1 and g of x is 3x plus 2. Find the value of g of negative 6. So I'm looking at g of x and I'm replacing the x with negative 6. So I write back the 3. Instead of x, I'm putting negative 6 plus 2. So 3 times negative 6 is negative 18 plus 2. Now negative 18 plus 2 is negative 16. So therefore g of negative 6 is equal to negative 16. Right? The next part is to find the inverse of g. So g inverse of x. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to write back g of x here. That is equal to 3x plus 2. And I'm going to perform some steps here now. So step 1 would be to let y be equal to 3x plus 2. In other words, I'm replacing g of x with the letter y. The next step would be to interchange the y and x. Interchange the variables. So when I interchange, I now have x is equal to 3y plus 2. Next part would be to make y subject. Make y subject. In other words, solving for y. Our y alone on the left hand side. So I'm going to flip this. I will have 3y plus 2 is equal to x. Carry across the positive 2 to the right hand side of the equation. I will have 3y is equal to x subtract 2. Therefore, y will be equal to x subtract 2 all over 3. And the last step now would just be to replace y with g inverse of x. So that will be equal to x minus 2 all over 3. And that is basically my answer there for G inverse of x. Part 3, they say show that f g of x is equal to this. Now they already gave you the answer, right? That this means that you just have to prove it. So to do this, I'm just going to write back f of x, and that is equal to x squared minus 1, and I'm going to write g of x, that is equal to 3x plus 2, and this is given in the question. If you scroll back up, right? To find f g of x, I am really substituting g of x into the f of x function. So I'm really going to find f of 3x plus 2. But looking at this, looking at the f of x function, that is x squared minus 1. That's the difference of 2 squared. So you can put that down here. So f of x is equal to x squared minus 1 squared. If I factorize this now, I will get that f of x is equal to x plus 1 in brackets times x minus 1 in the other bracket. This is the difference of 2 squared. Remember how to factorize difference of 2 squared? Difference of 2 square terms. Squares, difference of 2 squares. Right, so now I go in and use this for the f of x function. Because I see in a term plus a term here, term plus a term there. So I know the product of two terms there, the product of two expressions there. And I know in the f of x function, I just have I just have x squared minus something. I know if I factorize that, I'm more likely to get what they have there. Right? So now I'm going to find f of 3x plus 2, because this was f g of x from up here. Right? So I am replacing x with the entire 3x plus 2. I will now get 3x plus 2 plus the 1, close bracket because I substituted into the first bracket, times 3x plus 2 minus 1 because I substituted into the second bracket. I'm replacing the f3x plus 2 with f g of x. And that will be equal to, I write back the 3x. Now 2 plus 1 is 3, so plus 3, close bracket. I put back the 3x. Now I have 2 minus 1, which will just give me 1, close bracket. But it's still not looking like what I have there. But I'm saying 3 is common to 3x plus 3. Well, I'm saying, 3 common to the 3x and the 3. So I could factor all that. So I have f g of x is equal to 3. I pull out the 3 from the first bracket there. I will remain with x plus 1. And then I will have the 3x plus 1 in the other bracket. But them have 3 times 3x plus 1, then plus times x plus 1. So I have to rewrite it in that form now. So it's basically the same thing. So f g of x is equal, since these 3 terms are multiplying by each other here, I could rearrange it any order I want. So I write back the number 3. I am now putting the 3x plus 1, this expression, second, and I am putting the x plus 1 last. And I have exactly what they have up there. Right? And that is 3 marks. Now, you don't need to do all these steps that I have here for the questions that I'm doing. I just try to explain it as detailed as possible. Right? Now, they say hence solve the equation f g of x is 0. So I know that fg of x is equal to 3 times 3x plus 1 times x plus 1. So I have to solve for x when this is 0. So I'm now going to say 3 times 3x plus 1 times x plus 1 is equal to 0. So what I can do here, I can carry across the 3 that is here and divide, I can say 0 divided by 3 is 0. So I will get rid of that 3 in front of the bracket there. Or I can just divide both sides by the number 3. Right? Whatever I do to the left hand side, I must do to the right hand side. And then the 3 cancel off. So I remain with 3x plus 1 times x plus 1 is equal to 0 divided by 3 is 0. So I have the product of two expressions is equal to 0. So that means each expression should be equal to 0, and then I can solve for the x values. I have two x values here. So I have 3x plus 1 is equal to 0. That is the first expression, 0 is equal to 0. The second expression is x plus 1 and allowing that to be 0. So I'll move the 1 and carry to the right hand side. I have 3x is equal to negative 1. X is equal to negative 1 all over 3. And then I'll carry across this 1 to the right hand side. I will get x is equal to negative 1. So those are my solutions for x there. Right? Hopefully you all understand this. If you have any questions, let me know. Right? But it's pretty straightforward there.